Hello. His own intelligence experts have downplayed the nuclear threat he's been so big on, but George Bush is trying to find new ways to scare the world about Iran. He says it threatens the security of nations everywhere and must be confronted before it's too late, accusing it of funding terrorism, the Taliban, and even blocking peace in Lebanon. The call for nations to rally against it came during a speech in Abu Dhabi on his third day in the Gulf. But even as he was giving his speech, Iran was making more conciliatory moves. It's given new information about its current nuclear program and agreed to answer all remaining questions about its past nuclear activities within 4 weeks. Let's begin, though, with the Bush speech and our correspondent Rob Reynolds.
Calling Iran a threat to the security of the region and the world, U.S. President George Bush pledged America would stand with Arab Gulf states.
Iran is today the world's leading state sponsor of terror. It seeks to intimidate its neighbors with ballistic missiles and bellicose rhetoric.
Bush's shot across Iran's bows was delivered in Abu Dhabi, virtually on Iran's doorstep. It comes amid rising tension between the U.S. and Iran.
The president, I think, is signaling that the U.S. is committed to the security and stability of the region and the Gulf, that it will not allow Iran to intimidate or threaten or blackmail those societies.
The bulk of Bush's speech was a challenge to governments of the Arab world to open up to democracy. Without naming names, Bush chided Arab rulers who strangle political freedom and human rights.
You cannot build trust when you hold an election where opposition candidates find themselves harassed or in prison. You cannot expect people to believe in the promise of a better future when they're jailed for peacefully petitioning their government. And you cannot stand up a modern and confident nation when you do not allow people to voice their legitimate criticisms.
He said the people of the Middle East were sick of violence and crying out for justice.
Democracy is the only system of government that yields lasting peace and stability. And our democracy leaders depend on their people. And most people do not want war and bloodshed and violence. Most people want lives of peace and opportunity.
The speech was an attempt to revive Bush's so-called freedom agenda, unveiled at his second inauguration with fanfare, but selectively applied since then. He also called on Arab states to support his peace initiatives and to stand by Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in his negotiations with Israel.
An independent, viable, democratic, and peaceful Palestinian state is more than a dream of the Palestinians. It's also the best guarantee for peace for all its neighbors.
The United Arab Emirates is the fifth stop on Bush's Middle East tour. The UAE and U.S. have close diplomatic, trade, and military relations. Bush is pitching greater political freedom and human rights in a region conspicuously lacking in either. A U.S. State Department report issued last year cited all of the Arab countries that Bush has visited so far for lack of representative government and restrictions on freedom of speech. Rob Reynolds, Al Jazeera, Abu Dhabi.